Rome didn't fall in a day. But corruption began the day Rome sold its taxes to the highest bidder. And that decision created a system where greed ruled, not the government. This was Rome's tax farming nightmare. Let me show you how it worked. The Roman Empire was huge, managing it was even harder. Collecting taxes from millions of people was a logistical nightmare. So Rome came up with a shortcut. A shortcut that would eventually haunt the empire for centuries. They decided to outsource tax collection to private citizens. Not ordinary people, but wealthy elites known as Publicani. These were businessmen, investors, and powerful families. They weren't government employees, they were profit hunters. Here's how the system worked. The government auctioned tax collection rights. Rich bidders competed to win the contract for an entire region. The highest bidder won the right to collect taxes from the public. They paid Rome the agreed amount up front, and after that, they were free to extract as much money as they wanted from the people. Everything extra belonged to them. No limits, no oversight, no mercy. This turned taxation into a business. A business fueled by greed, pressure, and ruthless efficiency. Imagine paying your taxes. Now imagine someone knocking on your door demanding double, and you had no way to complain. Because the collector didn't represent justice, he represented profit. Rome may have invented roads, aqueducts, and republican values, but they also accidentally invented a machinery of exploitation. Tax farming created a new kind of power, a power that didn't answer to Rome's citizens, a power that answered only to wealth, and once greed enters governance, the people always suffer first. Tax farmers had one goal: make as much money as possible. The faster, the better. The harsher, the more profitable. Since they had already paid Rome up front, they needed to squeeze the population for maximum return. This pressure created an environment ripe for corruption. Collectors demanded extra fees. They invented new penalties. They extended debts unfairly. They charged interest on interest. They used threats when persuasion didn't work. And they used violence when threats didn't work. To them, every citizen was not a person, but a number. A number that needed to grow for profit to grow. Even worse, Roman officials often looked the other way. Some were bribed. Some were shareholders in tax farming companies. Some simply didn't care. This meant there was no accountability, no justice, no limit. In many provinces, people feared tax farmers more than they feared Roman soldiers. Why? Because soldiers took orders. Tax farmers took liberties. Historian after historian describes the same pattern: oppression, extortion, manipulation, bankruptcy, and public rage. Entire regions were drained dry. Villages collapsed under debt. Small farmers lost their land. Merchants closed their shops. Families fled to avoid taxes they could never pay. The wealthy Publicani grew richer. Rome's treasury stayed full. But the people grew poorer, angrier, and more hopeless. This wasn't just corruption. This was corruption engineered through policy. A system built on profit over people. A system where suffering was baked into the model. And the cracks were about to show. Rome's greatest weakness wasn't an enemy. It was inequality, and tax farming poured fuel on that fire. When the rich grow richer through exploitation and the poor collapse under pressure, a nation becomes unstable. That's exactly what happened. Provinces revolted. Rebellions broke out. Local leaders complained directly to the Senate. Julius Caesar himself criticized the brutality of the Publicani. The people no longer trusted the system. They no longer trusted Rome. This erosion of trust damaged Rome's political foundation. It weakened loyalty. It created resentment that lasted generations. And it helped ignite conflicts that drained Rome's resources. Tax farming also reshaped the economy. Small farms disappeared. Large estates took over. Urban poverty exploded. And society split sharply between the ultra-rich and everyone else. The Roman elite lived in luxury paid for by the suffering of the masses. Sound familiar? History may change faces, but the patterns remain the same. Eventually, Rome realized the damage. Emperors tried to regulate tax farmers. Some banned the practice entirely. Others replaced it with direct state collection, but by then, the harm was already done. Generations of exploitation had weakened the empire from within. And when the external threats came, Rome was too divided, too exhausted, and too broken to stand strong. The lesson is clear. When a government allows profit to overtake public service, corruption doesn't stay in offices. It spreads into society. and it leaves scars that last for centuries. Rome's tax farming started as a simple solution, but it ended as a historic warning, one that echoes even today. If you want more deep, powerful breakdowns of history's hidden truths, hit follow, drop a like, and tell me which ancient system you want exposed next.